Welcome home, James.
10 years ago, a little company by the name of Epic Games created something that would shape the third-person shooter genre. We are of course talking about Gears of War, a franchise that has become just as synonymous with the Xbox brand as Halo. While Judgment scratched a very different itch, and the remaster of the first Gears of War was a nostalgic trip, fans have been clamoring for the next true step in the beloved franchise. This is where Gears of War 4 comes into play, as the recently founded studio, the Coalition, has been hard at work setting up a new trilogy for fans to delve into. The story takes place 25 years after the events of Gears of War 3, where peace has spread across the land, or at least that's the perception. With the lack of a true threat for so long, the COG army has been reduced to robots in order to uphold justice, but when you have a gung-ho leader by the name of Jin at the wheel, the world seems more oppressed than ever.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There are two issues that plague the story of Gears of War 4, world building and character development. While it's fantastic to see old faces again, you never really get a good grasp of what the world is like now that the Locust threat is gone. There's one small off-the-grid village early on, but you don't actually get to see how civilization has evolved since, outside of making robots and building what seem like giant empty settlements. The new characters also don't have a lot of time to properly develop thanks to the relatively short campaign. We were able to play through the story on normal difficulty while grabbing a couple of collectibles along the way in just under 7 hours. The characters amount to this. JD is essentially Nathan Drake, always cracking wise, but will get serious when necessary.
Can we not do rock, paper, scissors this time?
Or as Dell likes to call it, paper, paper, paper.
Kate is a moody teen who never progresses past yelling, "We're gonna save my mom."
We're going to get her. Now!
And Dell, well, he's just there, sometimes working off JD's humor. It says something when you only remember his name a couple days after completing the campaign.
Did you touch something? What?
Looking past the story issues, what matters most is the gameplay, and the Coalition has done right by the fans. You'll be roadie running through various corridors, hopping over barricades, pumping thousands of rounds into bullet sponge enemies, and maybe chainsawing a few of them in the process. That's not all, as new features have been implemented to better streamline the experience and make it more enjoyable. For example, when an enemy is directly on the other side of cover, you'll be able to either reach over and grab him, or vault over and put a boot to his head, leaving him vulnerable for an execution. Outside of some fascinating new weapons, there's also new environmental hazards called wind flares, which generate high-speed winds and are so powerful that they can sometimes curve projectiles. These are exciting events that occur a handful of times throughout the campaign and have some of the most explosive displays of chaos if you pick your shots right.
That worked out better than I thought it would.
Unfortunately, the campaign does have some rather tedious moments. As much as Horde mode remains one of the best inclusions to the Gears of War franchise, its limited implementation in the single-player portion is less than ideal. This occurs 3 times throughout the campaign and consists of 3 defensive waves before moving forward. Even though the final event does include the accumulation of most of the new enemies, it had us pleading for no more. Fortunately, it's not all bad, as the rest of the campaign is action-packed from start to finish, with some rather phenomenal set pieces. As for the multiplayer portion, things are better than ever before.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Horde mode has been greatly expanded upon, introducing classes for players to better vary their team and improve their defensive machinery. With 10 different maps and 50 stages to progress through, it's not only a challenge, but a highly engaging mode that will have players coming back for more. On the competitive multiplayer side, there are 3 new additions: Dodgeball, Escalation, and Arms Race. Dodgeball is as it implies. Tag someone, or rather kill them, and they will be out until their team gets a kill. Escalation, on the other hand, is essentially Annex, where you have to capture sections of a map to accumulate points. The twist is that it becomes a game of strategy and patience in the later rounds, as the respawn timer will gradually increase, meaning sitting out for 20 seconds could mean the match. Finally, Arms Race is a fascinating new mode in which every 3 kills a team obtains, they cycle down a tier of weapons. This is easily our favorite new mode, as it's fast-paced and will consistently test your skills with the different weapons. Overall, whether you like the competitive or cooperative side of multiplayer, Gears of War has your number. We liken Gears of War 4 to Halo 5 Guardians. It has some of the most entertaining cooperative and competitive multiplayer modes available, but the story is severely lacking. This is a short campaign filled with little world building and character development, something you'd hope for at the start of a new saga.
Well, shit.
Fortunately, despite some ill-attempted implementations of horde mode mechanics, the campaign is non-stop action with some rather enthralling scenarios.
Sexy, right?
This mixed with a horde mode that will have players coming back for more, and a competitive multiplayer section that has a ton of variants, Gears of War 4 ends up being an incredibly appealing package.
Guys, I think we're good. Son of a bitch!
For more on Gears of War 4 and everything gaming related, head over to hardcoregamer.com for your fix.